All right, let's talk Texans. Back at practice today, I was on the scene. It is the Locker Room, number one source for Texans digital content. I am Landry Locker. You can see me here throughout the week, Monday through Friday, 10:30. Also on SNL, Monday through Friday, 4 o'clock. Texans Collective, Mondays at 6. We will be live. SNL will be live at BB's Kingwood this Friday. We got gifts. The TriStar shows in a couple of weeks. We got some big opportunities for that. We'll be back at Spanky's next week. But let's talk about practice. Shout out to Alan Iverson. Shout out to Sleeper also for sponsoring the video. Best app in the game. Download the app. Use the promo code LOCKER, and you can get 100% back. $100.
We in here talking about practice.
So the Texans returned to practice today. DeMeco Ryan spoke. CJ Stroud spoke. We'll talk about the CJ Stroud vibes. It's become very polarizing. Quarterback position's always polarizing, but the state of CJ Stroud right now, the confidence is low, but the confidence in the team is high. So I guess that means that you've kind of put a good squad around him to where you're not as dependent. But I asked CJ Stroud, my question to him today was about this being the third time in the divisional round. And ideally, you want to see growth. You want to see better than what we saw the other day. I asked CJ Stroud where he's at and where he's come since the first two times.
You're a third time in this situation. Where do you think you've grown the most heading into it for the third time?
I would say just, taking the plays as they come, flushing the bad and the good, learning from both, and just, moving forward. And I think, even the game on Monday, got a lot of adversity, turn the ball over, and then next play, they're putting the ball back in my hands, and I feel like I answered the bell when my number was called. So, I think it'll be that again this week. Hopefully take care of the ball, better this game. But, I think when it comes to, adversity, things are going to happen. You see, I watched almost all the wildcard games since we played, the last game. Everybody, made mistakes. Everybody had that moment where it was like, dang, we're messing this up. And then the teams who find a way to, fight through that and keep going were the teams that came out on top. So, that's just playoff football. So, we're staying our head down, working this week, preparing for that. But, I think, we're doing a great job of it, and you got to just keep that going. So that's what I'm learning, is just one play at a time, take the good with the bad, and just keep rolling.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds good. I don't know that there was like some sort of big recovery on Stroud's part after the mistakes. I mean, they had 10 points heading into the fourth quarter. So I don't necessarily look at it as that. Like I don't think the concerns were completely eliminated. The game got comfortable because the defense scored a touchdown. You were flirting with being one play away from losing the game, and the defense came through, but there's still a little bit of reservations about CJ Stroud. There's still a little bit of reservations about CJ Stroud and what he's capable of doing. Now, in this game, I just don't I don't think there's very many excuses for the Texans not to win this game. Now, the bad news that we did get is Nico Collins, as expected, was not at practice today. And then we got a little bit of a surprise that Christian Gonzalez, he's back. And here's how concussion protocol works. Christian Gonzalez has to practice twice in order to be eligible to play. This is one. There's two more in the week. So if he practices tomorrow, there's a chance he clears protocol on Friday. So not all concussions are equal. I know that's hard to that's hard to fathom for us jamokes a lot of times, but they're not all equal. And I anticipate Nico Collins not playing, and at this point, it looks like Christian Gonzalez may very well be playing, depending on what the symptoms are. So how does that impact things? I think the Texans still have a really good wide receiving group. I laid out the numbers. And this is even more important than it was when I originally presented this graphic. But this was CJ Stroud's receivers not named Nico Collins heading into the playoffs last season in 2024, and this was them in 2025. And you see the difference right there. It's pretty ridiculous how much better. And this isn't even factoring in that perhaps finally
Captain Kirk has arrived. I repeat, Captain Kirk has arrived.
there was very little chunk of this production that had anything to do with Christian Kirk, and now you have these guys. So you still have more than enough weapons to get the job done without Nico, and we've seen them perform a couple of times without Nico. 2-0. They beat San Francisco, and then they beat the Colts without him. So they're better equipped to perform without Nico Collins. And the cancel out, the Christian Gonzalez cancel out, that's no longer a thing. So damn. Not overly ideal, but not too crazy. Other things that we saw at practice. So there was no Trent Brown. He hasn't been practicing on Wednesdays anyways. He's going to play. I can assure you. Trent Brown is playing. DeMeco Autry did not practice. I would assume that he's going to play. I'm not as positive as Trent, but I would assume that he's going to play. And that's really all we need to worry about. Now, there was a pleasant surprise, and I don't know what this looks like. I don't know how this works, but Jawar Jordan is back at practice. And there was a time when we thought that Jawar Jordan was going to be the RB2 to the RB1 that is Woody Marks. I don't know if Jawar Jordan, someone who they obviously didn't trust early in the season, and then he kind of earned their trust late when Nick Chubb got hurt. I don't know how Jawar Jordan fits into this thing, if he is good to go and if he is healthy, because I think they lean vet a lot of the time. And Nick Chubb, let's be honest, he looked good as a compliment. So maybe they bring in Jawar Jordan and they get Jawar Jordan in the mix. They do seem to like throwing the ball to Jawar Jordan. So maybe there's that type of role. But I would be a little bit surprised personally if Jawar Jordan has like a significant chunk of the carries based on what Nick Chubb showed him last week, which was probably the best version of Nick Chubb that we've seen this season. For sure, the best usage of Nick Chubb that we've seen this season, outside of when he wasn't getting hardly any carries and Jawar Jordan and Woody Marks were doing their thing. But I don't know how Jawar Jordan fits into this. Is he part of the game plan? I think they probably like the way the running back situation looked Monday night, but Jawar Jordan is something to keep an eye on whether or not he plays, if he's going to be active. Other thing I'm anticipating happening is with Watson also in concussion protocol along with Nico, I think there's a chance Braxton Berrios is active. And I don't know what that looks like. It'd be an emergency situation. I mean, it would be pretty ridiculous if they just decide because he's active, they're going to let him return punts and kicks. Jalen Noel's clearly better at it. And I don't care if Jalen Noel's going to get more wide receiver reps. Braxton Berrios does not need to straight off the couch be returning punts and kicks in a high pressure situation like this. Jalen Noel's more explosive. Jalen Noel's better. So maybe you find a way to use Berrios sparingly at receiver, but I would anticipate there's a chance he's active. Hopefully they don't get too crazy and do something silly like put Braxton Berrios back there to return punts. Other news at practice. Saw this as I was driving in. I went to Cleburne Cafeteria before practice. Good place, somewhat expensive. Not somewhat, it's pretty expensive, for being honest, but it's a good spot. Hamburger steak is the wreck here for me. But went to Cleburne Cafeteria, and as I was driving out, when I could actually see what was going on with Verizon was an absolute disaster today. I saw that Daryl Taylor was picked up by the New England Patriots. Here's Mike Vrabel talking about that decision to Look at Mike Vrabel. What a hardo he is. To bring in Daryl Taylor.
Did you want to kind of bring him in and work with him?
Well, we had conversations with him in free agency. I ended up going somewhere else, and then when he became available, we got together and had a conversation, and were able to bring him in.
All right. That's cool and everything. Like, and you can see right there, Ross Tucker, that was his tweet. And this was the popular tweet, the reaction to the Daryl Taylor situation was, oh, well, they're going to get some intel from Daryl Taylor. And Daryl Taylor is going to be the guy that's going to, he's going to give us some sort of intel on the Texans. I don't know. I think most of the people in the chat could give more intel on what's going on with the Texans than Daryl Taylor. Like, Daryl Taylor had a good training camp, but I don't think that's the value of Daryl Taylor. Like, Daryl Taylor is the only impact that Daryl Taylor made. He had two impacts on the Texans this year. One of them was in camp. He had a good camp. I'll be honest with you. Blake Fisher, Daryl Taylor owned Blake Fisher. And he also was the noisiest in the locker room. He would turn up his personal phone or whatever full speed, and he'd be singing karaoke basically in the locker room to whatever the hell he wanted to sing. That was it. The Texans aren't really going to do anything crazy and trick you. So I actually think Daryl Taylor's value. I think if you're in the middle of a playoff push and you can get someone off the street that had, 8-9 sacks a couple years, who's still very capable of pressuring the quarterback, that's the value. Like 10 snaps for Daryl Taylor, like see CJ, get CJ, is more valuable than any intel. You're not getting intel from Daryl Taylor. I can promise you that. There's no intel. They're not tricking anyone. And if you want to get intel, Daryl Taylor's not going to be the guy to give you that. I think they said that there's a chance that he might be active. I actually think that's a good role. So I think there's actually on-field value for New England with Daryl Taylor more so than some sort of like intel. That's just not going to happen. You're not going to get intel from him. John Hill says he can tell their signals. I don't even know if he knows the signals. He didn't play. Like, what do you mean their signals? What signals? They line up, they rush for, they run nickel, they're gonna run out man. Like, what signals? I honestly don't know if Daryl Taylor even knows the signals. I really don't. He just returned to practice. So no, signals, no. Daryl Taylor's not giving you shit. Except maybe just see quarterback, get quarterback. He's capable of doing that. But no, he's not going to do anything for you. He's played a few games and really didn't even, it was kind of sparing. There. I don't even think he recorded this today. He had 3 combo tackles. So no, signals, no. He's not going to give you anything. Don't believe that. Let's go to the chat. We'll hear from we got some guys to hear from today. Before we go to the chat, though, let's shout out the greatness, the sponsor of playoff coverage on SNL and the locker room. Greatness of TDCU, TDCU.org. Take advantage of it. 15% off the Texans team shop. Get that fresh Texans debit card. Membership required, insured by NCUA, tdcu.org/Texans. If you want to get the Buc-ee's card, they got that. If you want to get the Cougs card, they got that as well. TDCU is the best.
Swarm.
ESG Soccer says that mic'd up was insane. DeMeco on fire around everyone except our head case QB. We need a real QB coach instead of Gerard Johnson. Haven't seen him coached. I don't know that it's the QB coach. I really didn't watch the mic'd up. DeMeco mic'd up's always kind of bored me. I thought DeMeco was pretty insightful today, though. and I actually enjoy it. We just heard from Mike Vrabel. I thought it was an interesting answer from DeMeco Ryans. He's giving me some insight this week. But Mike Vrabel and DeMeco Ryans, they're both former NFL linebackers, very respected in their locker rooms, and they've both made pretty quick impacts as coaches. Like Mike Vrabel already has the Patriots in this position in his first season. In Tennessee, relatively quick turnaround, went to an AFC championship in 2019. That was his, second season? And then he had them as the 1 seed, which was kind of batshit crazy that even happened, that they even got to that point. And then DeMeco Ryans, he's going into his 3rd divisional round. I asked DeMeco Ryans about the qualities of a linebacker and if any of those are useful as a head coach. This is a pretty good answer from DeMeco Ryans. He's giving me some good insight this week. Sometimes I get a FU, but I think this is some good insight from DeMeco. He's in his groove. Me and DeMeco like this week.
You and Vrabel are both former NFL linebackers. What skills that are required to play that position do you find valuable as a head coach?
As you play the linebacker position, I think the thing that for me that helps you, in coaching is as a linebacker, you're responsible for more than one thing. As a head coach, you have more than one thing on your plate all the time. When linebackers, of course, you have to step up and you have to play the run game. You have to know the front. You have to know run fits, which can be very intricate, and it changes a lot based on gap pulls, different schemes. So you have to be able to adjust and adapt on the fly in the run game, and also you're required to play in the passing game as well, which is a lot of different details depending on the calls and what you're running. Linebackers have to account for, covering receivers, covering running backs. You have to do it all. Same as a head coach, you're kind of in the middle of everything. You have to be able to do a lot of different things. You have to be able to be trustworthy, smart, accountable, and that's what the linebacker position requires. So Vrabel has done a great job of leading this team. He did a great job of leading the Titans when he was there. Really smart coach. His team is always well prepared. They always play physical. Right? So it's a tough challenge. He's done a good job there, having his team in the position they are in right now based on where they were last year. See his leadership. It's really taking an effect over that building the entire team, and they play that way. So he's done an outstanding job right there. I have a ton of respect for Vrabel.
Yeah, that was DeMeco Ryans, and that's some good insight. I thought about from DeMeco. I like the overall vibe of DeMeco right now. He seems very confident. It almost feels like he was a guy who was frustrated on a road trip. He had a bunch of kids in the car, and once he got where he was trying to get, just kind of toned it down. And then we actually saw it on the field. With the actual performance, the Texans defense, they've actually held up quite nicely on the road against playoff teams. They've held up very nicely on the road against playoff teams. You look at the Texans defense on the road against playoff squads, and obviously they're going to New England. This season, I'll pull this up. I'll share this. This was a tweet that I sent out earlier today. The Texans are in road games this season against playoff teams. The teams average 16 points per game. And that's with Seattle being the outlier. No team that they faced besides Seattle, or no team at all, had their season average. Matter of fact, they were below. The Rams scored 14. They averaged 30.5 on the season. The Jags scored 17. They averaged 27.9. Seattle scored 27. They've been averaging 28.4. And then the Chargers scored 16. They averaged 21.6. Pittsburgh scored 6. They averaged 23.4. So the defense has traveled against good teams. Now, that's the good news. The bad news is the quarterback situation. And CJ Stroud on the road against playoff teams has thrown 7 of his 9 interceptions. So 7 of CJ Stroud's 9 interceptions have come on the road against playoff teams. And that's a little bit concerning. What's even more concerning is since his return, 3 of his 4 interceptions are on the road against playoff teams, the Chargers and the Steelers, and 5 of his 6 total turnovers. So on the road against playoff teams, CJ Stroud has struggled. It's been pretty rough, and he couldn't even catch a snap the other day. He was asked about that. He seems relatively confident about it.
We'll go about it the way we always have, but, we'll be extra tentative on that. So, it's good that, we learn from it, move on and fix the issue and keep it going.
Well, hopefully the issue is fixed, because they even scored a touchdown on it. It was kind of like a joke. Remember when Woody Mark scored the touchdown? What was it supposed to be? It was like, none of your business. Well, cool, but it didn't go very well. Let's hear CJ talking about that road stuff, though, that I mentioned earlier.
We've had a couple tough away games this year that, we've had to go into harsh environments with, a lot of passionate fans that say a lot of crazy things and do a lot of crazy stuff. So, I think last week was a good test for us, and I think, being able to get past that with a dub, this next week's gonna be the same type of environment, loud. Northeast is always, hectic and rowdy. So, they have a great fan base, loyal fan base. So, we'll be able to try to weather that storm and just focus on what we need to focus on, play in and play out.
It's the defense. The defense travels. That's really what it's going to be all about. It's the defense. The defense travels. We'll hear from Kamari Lassiter. We'll also hear from Kaylin Bolock. We'll hear from Woody Marks. And we'll also hear from Andrews. We're stacked today. We're very much stacked today. So we'll hear from all them, but even more important, let's hear from the peeps.
Swarm.
Tequila, whiskey, that's a hell of a combo, man. I prefer to just stick with the tequila, but if you're going to go with the whiskey, tequila and whiskey, you crazy, dude. Says, beating the Steelers was fun, but expected to exceed expectations. We must win this game. The good news, we still have room to improve. I disagree. I disagree. I don't think beating the Patriots would exceed expectations. I think they should expect to win this one. I think they're more experienced. I think they're more talented. I think they're more battle tested. DeMeco Ryans has a very good history against quarterbacks that are young. He has good experience against quarterbacks that are either young or too old. He's 3-0 against quarterbacks that aren't Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. Someone brought this up. I made the joke today on SNL. DeMeco Ryans is 3-0 against white QBs in the NFL. That's a stat that you might not have known. So that's the stat right there. Now, right after that, NORG1 said Baker killed us and Matthew and Sam, and he said, and Bo Nix. Norg, you're wrong, brother. Brother, sister, whatever you are. You said Baker killed us and Matthew and Sam. That's not, and Bo Nix. That would be incorrect. That would be incorrect. They might have won the game, but Baker Mayfield was 25 for 38 for 215 yards. He had a couple touchdowns. He had the run. That's the closest thing to maybe some sort of kill. Sam Darnold was 17 of 31, 213, a touchdown and an interception. That's not killing. That's way below the season averages. Matthew Stafford was 21 of 29, 245 and 1. He was very efficient. They scored 14 points. That's not necessarily killing. And Bo Nix was 18 of 37. He completed less than 50% of his passes, 2 touchdowns and an interception. So none of those guys killed the Texans defense. That's a little bit of a reach. But DeMeco he owns young quarterbacks or washed quarterbacks in the playoffs. So something we'll have to give there, and we'll see what it does. Cougar says, I went in high school to 2017 game in New England when Andre Howell dropped the game-winning on INT. Insane game, though. Also insane revenue. Their Super Bowl / Hall of Fame tour is one of a kind. Yeah, there's a lot of history. It's kind of a pain in the ass to get there, as I'm sure unless you took the train. That was an awesome game. You had Deshaun Watson and Ryan Griffin connecting. That was one of the better throws. That was kind of when you knew Deshaun was for real. And I asked Ryan Griffin about it, and he said that he went real in depth on how much they'd practiced it. And then the Texans took the lead late. It was, was it the long nuke touchdown? I mixed up the Seattle and Patriot games that year because they kind of they kind of intertwine. But the Texans ended up scoring. I think Nuke scored early against Seattle, and then Jimmy Graham scored, if I'm not mistaken. But I think Danny Amendola made some plays, and they ended up winning the ball game. But yeah, that was a hell of a game. And that was a fun time with Deshaun. Deshaun was really good at that time. Dustin B says Vrabel was a good coach. I was shocked and happy when the Titans fired him. He's good. He's a very, very good coach. Kyle asked, who are you focusing on in the draft? I'm not focusing on the draft, my friend. We will, me and Cody, we do this every day. We don't just cherry pick Texans content. I've been doing the digital thing for over 3 years now, every night, no matter what. Whether I was on the radio or whatever, like even for a couple years during that. Same with Cody. We'll be in full-on draft mode, like more than anyone. We got tickets. We already got our plane tickets to the Combine, so we'll be broadcasting from the Combine for a week. We got the biggest draft party that I think this city has ever had. We got that in the works. But right now, covering a divisional round, and I'm covering the playoffs. So I have no thoughts about the draft at all, to be honest with you. I don't even know what the layout is. There's some players I like. I know Sadiq is one of the most popular guys. He just declared. I have no take on the draft right now. No disrespect. ESG Soccer says, can we get dude an espresso or B12 shot? Are you talking about CJ? You don't think CJ's too pumped? Yeah, he's a little bit he's not really like a overly wired up guy. But you know who is? Kamari Lassiter. And Kamari Lassiter is interesting for a number of reasons. I think he's the most underrated player, one of the most underrated players in the league. I enjoy just kind of the dynamic going back to Georgia when he didn't opt out of a bowl game after winning 2 national championships. In a meaningless bowl game. And I think he's kind of one of the tone setters and one of the vibe guys. And him and Kaylin Bolock are kind of attached at the hip. I asked Kamari Lassiter just about his nature. Where is your favorite place? We know Stingley and Lassiter, they have like favorite places. And it's really just the football field. Like the football field is really the only place where I think these guys are their happiest. So I asked Kamari Lassiter, where else does he find happiness? And he actually set this up because if y'all remember the Chargers game, y'all remember when Kamari Lassiter went off the field briefly and they were all dramatic about it. And the sideline broadcaster, who did a good job, she wasn't Rich Eisen, but she said, he walked off the field and he whispered something to his mom. And we had no idea what it was like, what the scene was like, but it just sounded so dramatic. I asked him about his happy place and he mentioned family. So then I took that as an opportunity to ask him, what did you whisper to your mom? This is interesting.
It feels like you and being on a football field just brings y'all joy. What's even in the same category as that when it comes to appreciate you, man. What's even in the same category as that when it comes to your happy place outside of the football game? I'm not saying it's just you're as happy, but where, like, whether it's off the field or whatever, where's your second favorite place?
I like being with family. Family is everything. Family over everything. And then I also just like kicking it with the guys. I like to laugh and chill with the guys, talk a little bit of shit, you know.
Yeah, so he likes to talk a little bit of crap. As far as his mom, he said he just had to calm her down because she's not used to him leaving the field, and he had to let her know. He had to let her know to chill out a little bit. So here was that part of the interview with Lassiter. what he said to mom, who he says knows best.
Can you repeat what you told her?
Yeah, she was asking me what's wrong. I'm like, I'm okay. Just chill out. I'm like, I'll be right back. Because, you know, whenever I never come off the field. So I came off the field and she's like, I'm like, just chill out. I'm fine. I'll be right back.
There you go. It was very dramatically, very dramatically presented by the broadcast. We'll hear more from Kamari Lassiter. What is Kamari Lassiter's favorite play of all the plays that seem to wire this team up? We'll also hear from his teammate Kaylin Bolock, as well as Woody Marks. We got a lot to get into. We'll also hear from old Jake Andrews. Good Lord, can you snap the football, buddy? But first, let's talk about Fanatics. I actually just left a break. I got a Cam Scatabo numbered card. I got the Giants in the break, and it was fantastic. If you don't know what a break is, allow me to present my first of many Fanatics experiences, Fanatics Live experiences here in the locker room. Strong recommendation of this. Hey, it's Landry Locker here. Shout out to Fanatics Live for sponsoring the video. And Fanatics Live, it's fantastic. They are reviving the collector's game like no other. It's easy to collect on Fanatics Live. Whether you're a NFL fan like myself, an NBA fan, MLB, Pokemon, they got something for everyone. Whether you're a beginner or an expert, it's awesome. It's thrilling. It's fun. It's such a fun process. We all remember opening packs of cards, but now there's instant rips where you get the instant satisfaction. Every single pack has a professionally graded card. I'll take you through my experience in a second. And the beauty of it is you're not stuck with it. It goes immediately in your collection. We'll get to that a little bit later. And they also have breaks. You don't have to buy the entire box, whether it's an auction, whether it's a spin. You get a team, and every player from that team that gets opened in the break, which you can watch live, you get those cards. I got some cards. I got a chance for you to win. It's the most interactive way to collect cards. Fanatics Live is absolutely fantastic, and I will take you through my experience on Fanatics Live when I partook in it, my first of many. So I started out by getting in a break, and this was a stash or pass. This is one of the cool features. So I got to spin. I landed on the Cowboys. Now, do I stash the Cowboys and take all the Cowboys cards in Houston? That's probably not a good idea. So I decided to pass and spin the wheel again. So I click pass, and then we spin the wheel again. And wherever this lands, I'm going to get every card that is opened of that team in the break, which I can watch live. I got the Steelers. No harm, no foul. Can't win them all. Then I wanted to get an instant rip. I wanted to get some instant satisfaction. So I got my instant rip pack, and immediately the Bo Nix PSA professionally graded 9 appears in my collection. Now I can stash it or I can sell it on Fanatics Live. I decided to keep it and see what happens in the playoffs. Then I decided, okay, well, I want to get in a break, and I want to get the Texans. Let's add some Texans to the collection. This is the beauty of this. You can see all the stuff that they have to offer. The vendors on there are awesome. You can follow them. You can interact with them. That's a lot of time. It's almost like a whole sports collecting community. But I decided I wanted to get some Texans in the collection. So I decided I was going to do the auction. So I scrolled down, $14. I got the Texans. You can see the cards right there. And I actually have them right here because they mailed them to me. You got the Jalen Noel rookie. I got the Higgins rookie. Heck, I even got a Browns break, and I got a Shador Sanders rookie, and I got a Mason Graham autograph. I'm going to give you a chance to win these at an SNL gathering, but you can start your own collection right now on Fanatics Live. I promise you won't regret it. You can get a free pack with a graded or authenticated card. All you got to do is download the app with the link below and join your first stream. The card game has never been more fun. I promise you, you will not regret it. Shout out to Fanatics Live. They have completely changed the game. There you go. A big fan of it. Seriously. Me and Stoots hit a mega card yesterday. Unfortunately, I don't think Justin Herbert's stock is too high, which might be good for him, but he got like a PSA 9 patch auto combo. Just absolutely ridiculous. Let's hear some more from Kamari Lassiter. Kamari Lassiter, I asked him about what's your favorite play, because I call this the alley-oop theory. And the alley-oop theory is that sometimes some plays, they might be worth a certain amount. Like an alley-oop at the end of the day is worth 2 points. but like when you play high school basketball or you watch college or pro basketball, whenever someone like makes an alley-oop or an alley-oop is executed, it just kind of, you can kind of feel the energy. And a lot of times like a team will go off a run. There's like a contagious, like alpha, not alpha Aaron type energy, but like alpha energy where people just get fired up. And I feel like there's a lot of plays like that with this Texans defense, even like a routine tackle where the team even gains 3 yards. A lot of times, whether it's Alshire, whether it's Petrie, whether it's Lassiter, whether it's Stingley, whether it's Toto, there seems to be like just a contagious energy that you can feel. And I think fans could feel it the other day. The other day, like it was a stressful experience, but whenever Jalen Petrie would make a TFL and you see him jumping around, you hear all the hooting and hollering and all that type of stuff, it kind of feels like the energy just changes and it hits a little bit different. It's the alley-oop theory. So I asked Kamari Lassiter, Kamari, what is your favorite play? I thought he would give me one. He gave me a list longer than a spoiled kid's Christmas list.
Seems like y'all kind of feed off each other, the energy. What's the play, if you had to name one, that gets you the most excited as a player on defense?
On defense, I like seeing sacks. I like to see Henry and Z's get TFLs and then they get the crashing out. I love when Petrie shoot the gap. I like when Petrie get picks. I like when CB get picks. I like when Sting makes a tackle because he get the smiling. I like when Sting get picks. I like when I make a big play. I like when I get picks. I like every play defense makes.
So there you go. He likes every play, and I believe him. I mean, these guys are having a hell of a lot of fun out there, and it's just it's a whole vibe, and the whole QB dependency thing. I think is interesting because there's been a discussion about, well, this quarterback didn't have enough around him. Like it starts with David Carr. David Carr sucked. Like he was not going to be good no matter what. And he kind of got bailed out by the fact that the Texans were bad and a lot of the sacks were his fault. And now he's kind of revised history. I heard him the other day say that, you know, I forgot what the clip was. It might've been the podcast with Derek, but he was like his brother, but he was like, yeah, if I would have gone to Carolina, then I would have done this. It's like, well, I think Texans fans would have rather had Julius Peppers. But he said, I would have been in the Super Bowl in a few years. Well, first of all, that's kind of disrespectful because I think Jake Delhomme had a better season than you ever had. They wouldn't have had Julius Peppers. So that assumption's a little bit ridiculous. But I thought he was going to suck. I didn't mean to get on my soapbox there. I think he was going to suck no matter what. I think he was babied, and I don't think he was ready to go. Deshaun Watson, like before all the allegations, they were not really doing a good job of putting teams around him. You had the POS, Jack Easterby, and he was basically taking over, and King Bill had lost his mind, and they weren't doing a very good job. So I understood that. CJ early on, that was kind of the notion. That's not really the case right now. And I think that's kind of been exposed. You're not dependent on the quarterback. And despite the fact the quarterback's coming off a game like this, yeah, it's a polarizing topic, but the vibes are still high because the key to success for this team is not the quarterback. The quarterback has to not be too bad. And there might be times where he has to be better than others, but this team is dependent on many things on the other side of the rock, and the surroundings around the quarterback are better. So that's just kind of the whole vibe. Here is CJ Stroud talking about the guys in front of him, the offensive line, which have improved this year.
Pass protection has been amazing. Run blocking, like we just talked about, has been great. So, it's something that I'm getting, well equipped with, and I'm, starting to feel comfortable back there and, make plays. And, I think they're doing a great job and IDing things and, just trying to make sure, we're all on one accord. It's, if we're all wrong, we're right. If we're all right, we're right. So, try to just stay with that mindset. But, yeah, they're doing an amazing job from left all the way to right, and a lot of different experiences in there from, Tay being a rookie and then Trent, being a Super Bowl champ, Titus, being in the league for a long time, Jake, same thing, and then Ed, the same thing. So, they're doing a great job, and Blake has come in and do a really good job for us as well.
And the question is, like, can Stroud get it done? The real question is, what is it? What is it? Based on what we said, based on the surroundings, like, what is it? Like, we always talk about quarterbacks, and we talk about, well, this quarterback won a Super Bowl, and the example that that's always used is, well, Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl, and Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl, and Mark Sanchez went to 2 AFC championship games, and when you look at the numbers, like, CJ Stroud performs better than those guys. Like, Mark Sanchez did have 5 touchdowns and 1 interception in the 2010 run. He completed 60% of his passes. He had a 95.5 rating, which is not awesome. It's 5 points less than CJ's career in the playoffs, but that's what they did. This defense is probably better than that Jets defense. CJ has a better. They have the same QBR. CJ's career QBR is 70. Sanchez is in 2010. I didn't use 2009 because Sanchez was just a rookie and it wasn't a lovely thing. But 70. So you have that. The worst quarterback to actually win a Super Bowl, and I think this is kind of what you compare the team to. He gets a free pass because he's a legend, but it was actually Peyton Manning. Like, Peyton Manning was ass in 2015. Before he allowed Brock Osweiler to take over, he had 9 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. In the playoffs, Peyton Manning completed 55% of his passes. He had 2 touchdowns and interception, and he only threw for 539 yards in 3 games. His rating was 75, which let me just put this in perspective. 75, they didn't do QBR like before, or they didn't really record it like in the early 2000s, but let me just put this in perspective. In 2015, Peyton Manning's rating was 75.4. Trent Dilfer's was 83.7 during their playoff run, and Brad Johnson's was 79.9 in their playoff run. So, like, the worst quarterback was actually Peyton Manning. And my point here is that I think that's kind of the similarity that you kind of see with how the Texans are vibing right now. And CJ Stroud's 100 times better than what Peyton Manning was at that point. There's a case that Brock Osweiler was actually better that year. Like, it would have been the same result if he would have stayed in. He did a good job holding it down. So when you say it, like, can CJ Stroud get it done? Like, is CJ Stroud going to go out there and put a team on his back like Josh Allen? No, like, he doesn't have to. The Texans have done a good job, albeit kind of unconventionally, but they've done it on the other side of the ball. They traded his most expensive, best offensive lineman. I use the quote marks because I think if you're only making yourself better and you're not really making the other 4 better, I use the quote marks. And they've improved the offensive line. They've improved the weapons around him. So, yeah, CJ Stroud can get it done. The feel is like there's like an argument about, is he elite or not? Nobody with a straight face is saying right now that CJ Stroud is elite. Does that mean he can't get better next year and maybe the conversation shifts? Of course. Of course. But when you say, can he get it done? It is, you turn the ball over 3 times and you're still able to win the game. You become the first quarterback to where you put the ball on the ground 5 times or whatever that stat is, and you still get it done. Like, we've seen examples of this. And the Broncos had the best secondary, and they had one of the best edge duos, and they were a defensive-minded team. And quite frankly, there weren't really very many great teams in their way. That's what the Texans are. So can CJ Stroud get it done? Yes, he can. It's not Josh Allen getting the shit beat out of him and having to be Superman and lead you to victory. Last year, CJ Stroud, it was hellacious for him in the playoffs. I mean, the receivers got hurt. The receivers got hurt. Like, the team wasn't good, but the receivers got hurt. And he's getting sacked. A lot of the blame is on the offensive line. Yes, the receivers also were not getting open. One of those guys that was hurt was Stephon Diggs. Kamari Lassiter was asked about guarding Stephon Diggs. This is what the alpha dog had to say.
No, I mean, I didn't need confidence. I already knew what it was whenever I came here. I'm going to go out there and compete with whoever. That's just the way I was, wired. But, just going up against guys that you play the game seeing or, just watch, growing up, it definitely puts life in a different perspective. But I don't think I needed confidence when I came in.
Yeah, I don't think Alpha Aaron asked him if, batting down a pass, like, gave him confidence. And he was just like, no, I'm not biting the hook there. You ain't tagging Stephon Diggs and getting that Twitter tag with the agents and everything like that.
Hey, bro, Alpha Aaron here.
That ain't happening, brother. I'm not into that. So that's where that was. By the way, if you didn't know, now you know. Playoff coverage presented by TDECU, the greatness of TDECU. TDECU.com/Texans. Get that Texans debit card. You will not regret it. 15% off in the team shop. They sponsor CJ Stroud. They sponsor your boys, who you can see this Friday at BB's Kingwood. We hope to see you there. Already heard some people that are going through, so that will be a lot of fun. Let's go to the chat, and then we're going to talk about the most frustrating thing about this whole thing, in a game that I'm actually very confident in. But there's something very, very Little Giants-y. Dude, Little Giants travels well. Like, people still watch Little Giants, right? Like, that's not like a data reference. I'm very insecure about my data references out. Not really, but
Swarm.
Double A Double G 1913 says on Carr, I hated that it said winning QB when he was on NFL Network. So Super Bowl winning QB. Made it seem like he played in it. Yeah, he was Eli's backup. But like the David Carr was going to suck no matter what. I mean, I think his dad went to his practices and shit. He wasn't going to be good. It just wasn't going to happen. Now he says he's broken. He's rewriting history. Carolina wouldn't have made the Super Bowl. They had Julius. Malik says Jay Reed will be tested versus Pats. I think he can be a big game for him. I've always liked him since the draft. Ryans is showing high confidence in Reed. Yeah, I talked to Reed at the Combine. He could basically list the Texans roster. Yeah, I thought Aaron Rodgers was going to test him a little bit. I mean, Hunter Henry, he was limited today. New England has receivers, but yeah, probably in the run game and everything like that. But when you have the surroundings that he has, it's just it's probably just a little bit easier. We'll hear from some of those surroundings, a little Kaylin Bolock action. But first, let's talk about this Pee-wee shit the Texans got going on. And it's sad that we're talking about this, but for all the talk about turning the ball over, for all the talk about, can CJ Stroud do this and the defense, like the Texans have had problems snapping the football. And it was all funny when, CJ Stroud's lined up under center and then Andrews snaps it under his legs to Woody Marks and they score a touchdown. But I mean, it almost bit you in the ass in the worst way the other day. Now, DeMeco Ryans doesn't seem too concerned about it. Should he be?
No changes, right? Just making sure we're aware of what's going on and making sure we handle it the right way. I know CJ and Jake, they'll do a great job of being on that this week. And, I think no one feels more bad about that than CJ. I know he'll get that corrected, get it fixed, and he'll be ready to roll this week.
All right, so he seems confident in it. What about the man that's actually snapping the ball? Jake Andrews has not been very solid this year. He hasn't been good. The communication's something that they really emphasize. It's really his first year with significant playing time, but it hasn't been great. And my boy Cody Stoots, who you see here with me on SNL Monday through Friday 4, can come see us at BB's this Friday and Spanky's next Friday and the TriStar Collectors Show the Saturday after that. It's going to be a busy time. He caught up with Jake Andrews, talked to him about it. Here's what Jake said.
CJ mentioned it, and obviously we saw some of the issues with the snaps in the game. What kind of goes into fixing that, make sure that doesn't happen again?
Yeah, I mean, it's just got to kind of be second nature to us. Past is past, it's behind us now. I think we've got to handle. So,
is there a moment where you try not to overcorrect something like that? Like it's been good most of the year, it just kind of was a hiccup.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's something that you never want to happen. And when it does, you just kind of have to correct it. And I think, like I said, we've done that. And So hopefully it's better.
What do you guys think about the way that run game's working? You guys were able to push the pile a bunch, and it feels like for the past few weeks it's really kind of started to click here on the ground.
Yeah, we've just been really focused on over-communicating and all being, dialed into the details all week long. Whenever we all know where we're going and all know what we're doing together, due to the over-communication, it usually works out pretty good for us, even if we're all on the wrong page. At least we're on the same page, and that, that's beneficial most of the time. So,
does the enthusiasm kind of build as like, hey, this is run number 3 in a row, this is run number 4 in a row, we're getting positive yards? You kind of get that kind of smirk, like, they can't stop us, here we go again?
Yeah, I mean, something builds. Enthusiasm, yeah, it's, it's fun. As an offensive lineman, you love to run the ball. I'd love to run the ball every play. That's part of being an offensive lineman. That's kind of the mentality that you have to have, I think, up front. And so, yeah, we really enjoy it. However, how we can move the ball, though, that's how we want to do it. Whether it's pass, run, trick play, I don't care. As long as we're gaining yards, I'm good.
DeMeco had a lot of praise for the defensive tackles. What have you kind of seen from how they kind of set the tone for the rest of that defense?
Like you said, they're tone setters. Really good athletes for one. Really good get off. They play their butts off. Got a lot of respect for those guys. We have to really handle those guys this week.
Yeah, and Jake's an easy target. He hasn't been great this year. I have no problem saying that. I like Jake, but he hasn't been great. But let's just be honest about it. A couple of those snaps are CJ just not catching the ball. Forgetting to catch the ball in a playoff game is something that I think you can correct that, but I also don't think that should be something that's that much of an issue. So they're not asking you to do much, but you got to at least be able to catch the snap. They're not asking you to be Josh Allen. They're not asking you to be Drake May. Drake May probably has to do more for his team than CJ does at this point. He's gonna have to do more. So they're not asking you to do a lot, but catch the snap. It would be a crying shame if a historic defense and really a good job of addressing what you could on offense, the season ends because you can't catch a snap. So they got to figure that out. They don't seem concerned about it, which is fine, but they got to figure that out. That cannot be something that is that remains. Something that makes it even easier is Woody Marks coming off a career game. You talk about the toughness on defense. Woody Marks is kind of bringing a little bit of toughness on offense. He caught up with the media. I was in this scrum. I think you're going to love this money quote from him when asked about the running back on the other side, Travion Henderson, the fellow rookie. Woody Marks is all business. Let's hear from Woody Marks. He is on to New England like a mofo.
Now that you've had this last game under your belt, what you look forward to keeping that thing going, trying to do that against the Patriots?
We're just trying to win. At the end of the day, whatever come with it, come with it. Just trying to go out there and get the dub.
What's making the running game click right now the way it is?
I'll say practice, preparation, everybody following the rules, going down cold and tight ends group. We all just following the rules and sticking together.
The block from Cade, have you watched that a few times?
Watch this. This is where you realize this mofo is wired the F up. Listen to this. This is some dog stuff right here.
I'm a dog.
Although he is from Atlanta and he told me he's more Jeezy guy than Gucci guy. I won't judge him for that. I won't hold that against him too much. But listen to this. So Aaron's asking him about the blocks. Listen to this. This is ultimate hardo that you want to hear.
And Trent on the touchdown. Cade Stover.
I really haven't watched it for real. I was on to the Patriots after I left the locker room.
What's your offensive line? You kind of touched on it, the preparation. What are they doing in game?
Aaron tries to throw a softball. Another tag the blocker. He says, "No, I was on to the Patriots once I left the locker room." How about that?
So well.
That's a rookie.
To open up these running lanes that we're seeing.
The same thing we was doing Wednesday in practice. Same thing we looked over throughout the whole season. We went back and watched all the tape from the games that we played, the runs that we made. By just doing what Cole said, sticking together on our double teams, working up to the linebackers, doing the little things, and then the tight ends and receivers going in to get the key blocks.
Their defensive tackle, Milton Williams, what do you see from him in particular as you guys prep for the Patriots?
He's great. He's a great player. I'll say both of them, their interior is great. They outside good, too. They got a sound core defense.
Linebackers as well?
Yeah, for sure.
What do you see from those guys as far as instincts finding the ball?
Them guys fly to the ball. 53, he fly to the ball. He's a great player. They all know the defense pretty good.
This team has a chance to make history. The Texans are one of those teams that hasn't been to a AFC championship. First things first, if you win this game, you get to experience that. But to do that for the city, do that for the franchise, what would that mean for you guys?
It means a lot. Just do it for the community. We doing this. We play this game for the community here, for the whole world, to be honest, but mainly our community, just to get them routed up, happy, just going out there and taking it one game at a time.
What are you playing in a lot of close games? That's what playoff football is. What do you think allows you guys to be able to close those out?
Just our grit, toughness to finish, sticking together. Everybody, I think one big family here. Nobody is excluded here. So I say just sticking together. No matter what side, offense might have a downside right now. The defense might have a downside. We never just looking at one side. Are we defense? Are we offense? We one team. So I say just let's play as a whole.
What's the best piece of advice someone's given you about playing in the NFL, and who was it?
The best piece
of advice that you applied to your job?
I'll say my next door neighbor right there.
Yeah.
He always hype. He not playing right now, but he always hype. I say when I first got here, he was the main person to always talk everything. And every time after the game, he always in the training room. He knows everything. He knows everything that went on. He play by play. So he just keep going day by day, step by step, day by day. That's his motive.
I know you are not on the field at the same time, but like from a competitor standpoint, when you're facing another fellow rookie running back like Travion, do you want to kind of outperform him? Travion.
It is what it is. I'm outperform him. We get the W. So stats is stats. They probably did a great job over there. We probably did a great job over here. Whoever get the highest is highest. But only one can take home a dub. The stats gonna be stats. We don't care about stats. We care about dubs.
I'm gonna say this: Woody Marks at this point, like I'm almost more worried about him if he doesn't limp off the field at least once a game. I mean, that he's got a hell of a streak going. Look, he's out there running extremely tough. The dude is an absolute beast. The dude is an absolute beast. Bluegrass says, "How does Aaron get to do this? He ain't even a fan." It's media. What do you mean? Media not supposed to be or have to be fans. What do you mean? He's not out there getting autographs. He's been doing this for a while. We give him a hard time, but he's been doing this for a minute. You don't want fans in the locker room. They don't. That would be very weird for them. So yeah, he's just because he's been doing it for a while. That's why. Let's hear from Kaylin Bolock. Kaylin Bolock is another guy that, man, he's always been a really good player, but it seems like his swagger is even higher. It's never been low, but he's kind of a mean mofo too. He's got a lot of dog in him. We'll hear from him in a sec. First, though, Will Campbell. If you think CJ Stroud has been it is an interesting vibe. I will give you that. It is an interesting vibe, Lou. I can agree with that. But Will Campbell, the rookie tackle for the Pats out of LSU. If you think CJ Stroud's been getting roasted on the internet, Will Campbell got his ass kicked a few times the other day. And here's his quote when he's asked about it because it was bad. It was a typical Will Campbell quote, and this is courtesy of the Sports Hub.
I don't give a shit what anyone says, to be honest with you. It's easy to, type behind a Twitter account that, is fake. And, as I hold myself to the highest expectation of anybody, I want to be perfect. And it's hard for me to, get told that it's going to be hard to be perfect. But, the Chargers, obviously I didn't pitch a shutout. I had 2 or 3 plays that I wish I could have back. But that's $300 million in defensive ends. I don't give a shit what anyone says, to be honest with you.
I'll just put it. I'll say this though to Will Campbell. If you're gonna make the excuse that that's $300 million in DNs, they're pretty old. they're older DNs, my friend. This is the best edge duo in the league, brother. Yeah, well, you respect their game. That the edges that you're going against here are better than them. So I get that you don't give a shit what anyone says, but this is the best edge duo that you'll go against. I think one of them's had a pretty good battles with you and Will Anderson. So you lost me as soon as you said that's $300 million in DNs. You're going lifetime achievement there. This is the now. These are 2 all-pro caliber edge guys. And this is a big reason why I'm so confident. I think this offensive line can get fucking wrecked for the Patriots. I think this offensive line can get fucking wrecked. They don't have great receivers. I like the backs, but it's not like you're going against Jonathan Taylor. I like the coach. It's a good team. It's a very good team. It's a well-coached team. It's solid. But I mean, if you had trouble with those guys, this is more difficult. So it's great that you respect them, but this is a lot more difficult. That's the encouraging thing for the Texans defense, and that's in the trenches. On the back end, you got a secondary that's starting to get some respect as the best in the league. Kaylin Bolock's one of those guys, and he's very confident. I asked him about the interception of Aaron Rodgers on perhaps his final pass, where that falls on the trophy case. You'll hear what he had to say about that. But first, let's hear Kaylin Bolock holding court during his media availability.
When it comes to Drake May and some things you see from him, what kind of quarterback is he in sort of his style?
Drake May, very talented quarterback. He's athletic, make great throws, so it's gonna be tough.
This is kind of athleticism with that size make him dangerous once he starts to move around.
Yeah, like I said, athletic, guy's fast. He real athletic. He can move around, try to get out the pocket, make something happen, use his legs, and also throw the ball.
Times that follow this year, Diggs, how much familiarity that you have with him to be able to use outside of him?
A lot. Diggs a dog. We know about going there. Feel a lot of trash talking when we go in there, but hey, we about to bring it to him.
What did having him around last year as a rookie help you, getting invested in the NFL?
It meant a lot. He was a great teammate last year. He always talked to us, joke around, always give us game on the field. Always pull us to the side and talk about what he see. And like I said, this was a great teammate.
Kaylin, they've been running the ball a little bit. What have you seen from the 2 backs that they have?
Both talented. They often flow through their running backs. They gonna come in. They gonna try to run the ball. That's what they're gonna do.
This franchise is into this round of the playoffs 6 times, and if you guys win, you'll be the first team in franchise history to make the AFC Championship. What would that mean for you guys to make history like that?
It would mean a lot, of course. But first, we gotta just go do our job. Block out the outside noise. We don't pay attention to stats like that, but we just gotta go out there and do our job.
Do you keep the ball on the touchdown there on Rodgers one?
Oh yeah, of course.
Where does that rank on in the trophy case?
Number 1, above all of them. That one might be the only one that's gonna go in the case.
Talking about that play, you had told Petrie that you were gonna, make that play happen. Is that something that not just you personally, but as a team, as a defense, you guys feel like you guys can come away with at least one or a few takeaways like that each game?
Yeah, I mean that's our goal every single game we go out there. Every time we step on the field, we try to go take the ball away. So just me telling Petrie I was gonna go score was actually funny because I went and did it.
Did you give Rodgers that much of a shove for him to fly like that?
Not really. Just old guy trying to get out the way. Really, he didn't want to get hit.
Kaylin, is there a nickname for the secondary within the group even, or individually you guys have?
A nickname for the group, for the DBs?
The street said the Fantastic Four. That's what the street said.
What's your nickname for the group?
No, I don't got one.
Well, you mentioned Steph talking. Like, we could see it during training camp practice. Like, he's constantly talking.
Yeah.
How important is it to kind of stand up to that as a young player and give it back a little bit? Because that's what it seems like he really respects.
He brings energy to the game. It makes it fun when you got a guy like that just talking trash. We know he's a high, energized guy, so every play he try to make, he gonna come in, he gonna bark, and we're gonna bark back.
Their receivers, what do you see from the personnel they have outside, not just Diggs?
Good receiver core. But of course it runs through Stephon Diggs. He's the most targeted out of the receiver group, but around him, all them guys around him, they're good.
So my question is this: what is the dirty name? There's obviously some kind of inappropriate name that they're calling themselves. Maybe we'll figure it out at some point, but it's very clear. And they don't like Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four sucks. That's terrible. I said Blob at the start of the season, Baby Legion of Boom, which I think it's kind of the vibe right now. Blob, B-L-O-B, if y'all recall. But clearly, they got some sort of name, and it's some sort of name they don't want to say in front of the people. It's not like the hot mic where Woody Marks is dropping every bomb possible, but they got a name. They got a name. It's dirty. I'll try to figure it out. And see what else is going on with there. Couple other things before we get out of here. Locker Room presented by TDECU. Playoff coverage. TDECU.org/Texans. Get that fresh new Texans debit card like CJ Stroud did. That's a strong recommendation of it. Cody's got it. Cody will be using it Friday at BB's. And he'll get that 15% off the team gear if he so chooses. TDECU.org/Texans. TDECU. The best in the game. Couple other things before we roll out. Practice tomorrow starts at 11.
We're in here talking about practice.
11:40. We'll hear from old Nick Kaylin. Nick. And Matt Burke. And Matt Burke requested by Arizona for an interview, for a head coaching interview. I don't know why, but they did. And I like Matt Burke. I if I were running a team, I wouldn't want him to be my head coach. I just don't think that's, you go from Jonathan Gannon to Matt Burke. It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. I know he's done a good job. I think he's a really good position coach. I think it's still DeMeco's defense. He's the straw that stirs the drink, but I think Burke's found a good role. He's done a good job. I think DeMeco allowing him to call defense has helped, but I don't. I'll be surprised if Matt Burke got a head coaching job. If he did, good for him. Good for him. I enjoy it. That would not be a hire I would make, and quite frankly, I don't think it would be bad for the Texans. Now, ideally, you would like to keep things the way they are, but inevitably, this is going to change. And I'm just going to tell you ahead of time. Like, there's been talk about Gerard Johnson and all this. I think the rise of Gerard Johnson was pretty high. And I think, if you don't think that CJ has progressed as much, I don't know why the quarterback coach isn't looked at as the guy, perhaps. Like the offensive line coach, we can say it's better than what it was last year. The offensive coordinator, Nick Kaylin, it's been up and down, but he's coming off his best performance. If the quarterback is not progressing, then who do you look at? I feel like there's always like an assumption. I like Gerard. I think he's a good guy, but like I don't know about. And I'm getting somewhere with this. I don't know about like Gerard Johnson as like some sort of bright, awesome coach. What am I judging it on? I know CJ says that he's an awesome coach. Cool. Like, but where's the tangible proof? And I know that the coaches say good stuff about him. So I'm not saying that to say that Gerard is bad, but I'm saying it because I think the guy with the brightest future on this staff is Rod Wright. I think the defensive line coach, Rod Wright, is inevitably going to get a defensive coordinator opportunity. And I think the way that he owns a room, the way that he handles his business, I think he's inevitably going to get head coaching interviews and opportunities. And I think it's inevitable that because I don't think Matt Burke's going to be a head coach, that Rod Wright's going to leave. And when the headline comes out, it's going to be, well, Texans lose their D-line coach. I think he's more important than that. I think Rod Wright is more important than that. I think a lot of the stuff that you see on the D-line where they're not doing anything exotic and they still able to handle their business, I think a lot of that has to do with Rod Wright. And you watch him work, very hands-on, always doing something, always coaching. You hear him talk. He's been a leader since he was at Texas on the national championship team with Vin Chung. He was part of that recruiting class. And he's always wanted to coach. He's always been one of those smart dudes. So Matt Burke, if he did get a job with the Arizona Cardinals, it wouldn't be the worst thing. Because the guy that you're inevitably going to lose would just be elevated. And then who knows how much longer he would be here. But I think at one point it was Gerard Johnson is, man, this guy's arrow's pointing up. He's going to be an OC. Maybe. I don't know. I think the stock was really high after CJ's rookie year. And then last year it kind of got there, and it seems like he gets head coaching. But this year, give him what has happened. Don't know about that. Like, I don't think Nick Cayley's getting a head coaching offer. So I don't know that Gerard Johnson's going to get like an OC offer. But if Matt Burke leaves, I don't think it would be the worst thing because I think Rod Wright is very, very important for this whole thing. So the next thing is the final thing. So I was walking out of the locker room and I saw my guy, Jason Bristol from KHOU, and he was interviewing Ben McDaniels. And as I was leaving, I was like, damn, why? The receiver coach, Ben McDaniels, like, damn, it's playoff time. Like, what is this about? Then I remembered. He's going against his brother. That's what nobody's talking about. I was a little bit surprised by that. I was like, I've never seen anyone want to interview Ben McDaniels with like a stand-up. And now I realize he's going to face his brother. How about that? Another underrated kind of storyline. Brother versus brother. Ben McDaniels. How about that? We talk a lot about Nick Cayley, but there that is. Appreciate everyone for rolling through. Shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring the video. Download the Sleeper app. More than, greater than, less than the game. Spoiler alerts. I am going greater than for Higgins receiving yards. I might even take him to score a touchdown. I don't know. It depends how crazy I'm going to get. But the Sleeper app, I think 99% of y'all play it. The ones who don't, you regret it of all age. My dad is a big Sleeper guy. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. Subscribe, like, ride along. Always remember when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Practice tomorrow. SNL 4 o'clock. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not 2. Plugged in daily digital